should have come to Atlantic City.
That was pretty good, right? But you guys raced like for 18 days.
No, not really.
This is like a lot of time.
Not that many.
Come on.
No, it's like it was 1 week of racing, but they set up the track. Like we were there for 2 weeks, really.
Who is the responsible for the track? Who bought the track and installed it?
So Mike Isles.
Mike Isles.
Yeah, he has a raceway out there in New Jersey. So he bid for the race. He got the race, and then his crew, Matt Bruce and Wes, those guys helped make that happen. And they designed that track. That's the track we have here this week. They designed that track to make sure it fit in the storage, the elevator. To get it, the track was up on like the 13th floor
in the ballroom, right?
Yeah. And so
it's nice to race on carpet.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was really fun. Hotel race, I think, is really nice because we all stayed. There's 100 people, over 100. Everybody's staying in the rooms, and we're going to the restaurants, and then of course we're racing. And so 2 weeks of a lot of fun.
But there is to race on that race, you need to classify. You need to race in your country before you classify to that, right? There's some sort of set of rules. And look, I work in this industry. For me, it's so complicated to understand.
Yes. Yeah. So they have a ranking system, and if you don't have any ranking points by going to previous race, so then you go on like the waiting list if it's coming to your country. So if they don't fill it, like when it comes to all the way out of Europe, most of the races are from Europe. So it only leaves Europe every like 5 years by rule. They made it where they have to. But when it comes over to the U.S. or somewhere else, if you want to race, you can sign up quickly when it opens, months before, and then if it doesn't fill any of the classes, you'll get in, even with zero ranking.
Okay, and to build a ranking, where should I race?
So you can't build ranking unless you get to one of that races
in Europe.
Yeah, no, just the ISRA race, wherever it is.
Oh, okay.
And so once a year.
So to join, you need to be on the waiting list, no matter what.
Yeah, just one time, right? Get on there, and then if you get in, you'll get points. Even if you don't do well, you'll get some kind of points, and you'll automatically have it.
So this race this weekend doesn't have anything to do with the ranking.
No, it's on
right?
USRA sanction. The USRA race, and so it doesn't help your ranking points. The only way to rank up is to do well at that. At the ISRA race once per year.
So the USRA use the same rules that they use over there?
Yeah, we adopted their rules just for the 4 Eurosport, 4 ISRA classes. One of them's production, like the production car. They actually run it as a team race in ISRA. We run it as an individual. Mm-hmm. But then the other 3 are all based on the rules of ISRA to make it easy and make it for all our guys can travel and have the same.
How many classes are you guys racing this weekend?
So I'm racing 6, and it's too much. Yeah, I really like ISRA. ISRA does a great job with only 4 classes. So, and 3 of them are open motor, right? So you're never struggling like who's got the best motor. You just want a good motor, but all those classes usually you have plenty of motor. They're so fast.
So you guys stay for 28 days in Atlantic City to race only 4 classes?
We were there only 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Still 14 days.
I know. So we had to get there a couple of days early for some practice.
And they have like 100 guys, right?
That's the thing. So 100.
What kind of jobs those guys have?
So I think in Europe they get good vacations. They do. They get more time off than we do in the U.S. For sure. And they look forward to it. They race a lot of those cars too during the year, and so and a lot of those guys are who's developing the chassis, like with Piero doing his chassis, and Raychek and Horky doing their thing,
and other motors.
Yeah, and they've been working hard, and they use those cars a lot. Like this week I'm racing 6 classes. Most of all those classes I only race once a year.
Okay.
So.
And how you keep up with equipment? Like, how do you know which is the best thing if you meet those guys once a year?
Yep. So they become good friends of mine. The Czech team, really, they adopted me kind of when
I
used to go to Israel. I've been going there since 1997. Not every year, but most every year lately, especially.
And what's your position in the ranking right now?
Mine is the worst it's been in a long time. So if they come to Atlantic City, this is my home track kind of, and I'm expecting good results. And all 4 classes, I have some mechanical issue that knocked me out for 1 minute here, 2 minutes there, and like absolutely the worst results. And it was sad, but over the years I've had my share of wins and fun, and so I could only shake my head and say, oh my goodness. So I'm down to number 24. So I've been ranked as high as number 3 before. I was the best.
And who's the first one?
Over the years, Vladimir Horky has been number 1 for so many years of those 30 years. Like 10 or 20 of them almost maybe. But right now, Dominique Boudris has been fantastic, and he was racing with Andrea, NSR, and Piero this year. They come with the brushless cars.
Piero is the guy who's working on the motors, right?
Yeah, and Piero's a good friend of mine. Those guys. But Dominique has been really, really strong in the last few years, and he's number one. And it switches around a little bit, but the points is cool. They hold your points for 3 years. So, like, I just had a bad year. That's going to stick. That's going to stick with me So next year, if I do well, great. You're not going to go way up because I'm still sticking to those low points I just received.
And who is the best American?
So I've been the highest ranking American over the last 25 years for almost all of them. But lately, like Jonathan and Justin and Walker, those guys have been coming a lot because you got to kind of go 3 years.
Young generation right
there.
Yeah,
and I like it. So I like it. At first, America's so big, we're all really competitive. But the Europeans, they're more team related because they're close knit, and so they work together. They help you. Okay, you do the bodies.
By country too, they have this rivalry.
Yeah, and it's like each their country's like one of our states. You know what I mean? So they're competing against the other countries, but they're like right there. But the U.S., we have trouble working together a lot because we're so big. We feel like we're from a different area.
Yeah.
But we've gotten a little better at it, and so I've started to share what knowledge I have and try to get those young guys to figure it out. And
before Atlantic City was in Norway, right?
Before Atlantic City was Latvia.
Latvia.
Yeah.
And before was Norway, right?
No, I don't think I've been to Norway, so forgot where we went.
But there's another deal with hotels and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they bid, you bid for it, and they present like what can you do. So
that's must be the most difficult way to lose money.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
you have to bid and hope for that, and then you lose money.
Yeah,
there's no way that the guy is making money to hosting one of those races.
No, Mike Isles did a fantastic job. That was one of the biggest, best ones we've had some good ones over the years, and really I love the way they do the 4 classes, and they don't give out the prizes until the banquet dinner. So and then
very
everybody
fancy.
Goes to the banquet dinner. It's like a highlight. So
do they dress up or they come with the same
even
clothes?
The ladies, so some of the wives will come.
Oh, nice.
And, they dress
Didn't
up.
know that.
And it's a big party, music. Sometimes we've been dancing, and just like it's a big fun. And so Mike Isles did a good job of that. He went to Italy before and seen what we do, and he went to Czech, and they see what we do over there. And so, to host that race, you kind of got to see what's going on. You know what I mean?
Where's the next one?
So we're going to
in Italy, right?
In Italy.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the one after that's in the Czech Republic, and the Czechs do a really fantastic job too. So, and they're
and who is hosting in Italy?
So I think it's their team, Piero's team.
Okay.
But I think it's like Paolo Trujillo and his crew. Their club is kind of hosting. So Luca Sobrana and some of those guys and they already got the track up and running. That's the thing. You go to these races. I've been doing it forever. You come in there. There's 100 people trying to get on the 8-lane track, and so practice is kind of like a race. So you get like 4 minutes on a lane, then you have to go marshal for 4 minutes, and then you put your name back up on the list to try get some more practice, and that could be 45 minutes or an hour later. So you're there for practicing for 12 hours. You're going to get like 12 times 4 minutes.
And literally it's a pop-up track that you never saw before. So.
Yeah. And so it's funny, recent years, the Brazilians and some of the other guys have been making a replica of the track in their home country.
Smart people.
And then they host some local races and stuff. So they're practicing on the replica. So it's funny because Mike Isles, after that last race, he had a good success, and he told Giannis Nabokins, who makes most of the tracks lately, Giannis, make me next year's track.
so whatever it is.
Yeah. So
just give him one.
He just got it over there in New Jersey, and that's why he sold his other one to Rich out here. Yeah. So we're racing on this week, and so
the track's pretty good. Pretty awesome to see it. People complain a little bit about the braid that is taped, not glued.
Yeah, and so Giannis uses that double stick on all the braid, and it's really reliable, except that braid's been on there for like 3-4 years more, and lots of racing. And so I think it's just time that it needs to be replaced. And then when they first got the track here, they cleaned it really good with naphtha, and I think the glue kind of
messed it up a little bit.
So we've been having some braid issues all week, and it's
it moves a little bit.
Yeah, it moves. The glue gotten soft, and so it's we're getting through it, and so
we entered the 124 scale road. We purchased both Bonaparte tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that it's not like it's not one of those international super modern tracks right now, but I think it's going to be a good start for us.
Yeah.
The flat track is people love it, and the King is old. It's one of the Gary Gurdins. I think it's G6 or G7.
Right.
But it's still, we're gonna put gonna give some love, and I think it's very good for retro racing. It's where we held the Checkpoint Cup for a lot of years, so people know the track.
Yes. Yeah. That Buena Park, the flat track, I've been on that, pretty good amount of times, even in Buena Park. But before, where it came from, I raced on. It was in NorCal.
Over there, yeah. You probably have your name on there because Ian, everybody, Ian.
Yeah, me and Ian, we have plenty of laps on that track. So.
When we were just assembling, people, Ian tells me, just check under the donut. And I was checking, there was a lot of signatures.
Really?
Yeah, because it was original from I like the track a lot. We used to race hard body.
Okay, yeah.
With Keith Tanaka in it, and it's perfect. It's perfect for that class, and I hope I can have it up this year so they can come back.
You're going to put it somewhere?
Not here. We don't have space. I wish we had space here. But we're going to have it open soon.
Yeah.
We're thinking about the Valley. The San Fernando Valley, last time that they have a track over there was 20 years ago.
Okay.
And that was the place of the very first raceway in America. The whole raceway system in the road started in the Valley.
Wow.
Yeah, the system to have a raceway, to rent cars, rent tracks, that was invented in the first time in the Valley. Wow. So we kind of want to get that angle to come back.
Yeah.
And we might use it to promote it too.
Yes.
And can you imagine how many racers we have in the Valley, people related to Slotcars that never did it before?
Yeah, so many people. It's funny, and you need to expose people. It's it's funny. It seems like it's a pretty small sport for how many people we have.
That's the whole goal here, and that's why I don't relate it to Israel or USRA much, because for me, it's very hard to find out about the rules, and it's very complicated. It's not clear communication, and it seems like it's a small, closed group. They don't welcome many people. Only if you're going to a raceway racing there, and then the race is coming to there, and then, okay, what should I do to race? And then you get new people this way.
Right.
But for me, even in this industry and knowing almost everybody who manufactures this Slotcar stuff, I never know about the races. I never know about the dates. I know when it's happening, but I should know if I want to participate. I should know 6 months in advance, right?
Right.
Especially if I want to join a waiting list.
Yes,
right?
You got to sign up on time. Yes.
So that's the goal here, and with the 1/32 scale, which is so easy to join because you literally buy a $59 car, you change 2 or 3 parts, and you're up to speed. You just need to learn the track.
Right.
And that's the angle, and that's why you're not that worried about the technology of the Buena Park tracks that are going to put up, because I want to just expose people to Slotcar racing somehow.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I see. It's funny they have Facebook pages and stuff like that, but you had to go search it out a little bit to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's
and then like in Europe, there's many races. They'll have their monthly like local races in different countries. They'll have like 50, 60 guys. We're here at the U.S. Nationals, this big United States, and we had so far the most we had in one class was 30. Oh. Right, and those guys will put 50 up every time. It's amazing.
Yeah, we do the 1/32 scale slotted nationals. It's just one manufacturer, and it's limited to 75.
Right.
And we're sold out 3 months in advance.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Again, it's not the same level as you guys. It's 1/32, but it's still very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
I have like the 25 people who know they're doing. There's a lot of newbies. There's a lot of guests.
Right. But
they're racing. We're racing Slotcars.
Yeah, I love it. I think those cars are. I'm sure if I talk to Ian sometime, I'm sure they're working hard on those cars.
Oh,
but there's probably not as many things you have to do or worry about. I'm sure it is, but they're so competitive, and they're slower, which means everything's always closer. Like they end up on the same lap a lot more times. It's tough to make up laps when they're not going around as fast.
When we finished the nationals last year, Ian won, and then I came up with him saying, "Look, what about we do a special edition car, and you set up 10 cars just like yours? We copy all the setup."
Yeah.
He told me, it takes a lot. It takes 2 weeks for me to do a car. So, what? 2 weeks? You're not soldering anything, just screws.
Yeah, no,
it takes a lot of time.
He's checking everything.
Okay, he didn't want to do it. I was involving him. The manufacturer was going to be a cool thing. No, didn't want to do it. Too long.
Too much work. Gosh.
Too much work.
Yeah, those. Yeah, see, it's the same as like we do. It takes a lot to make them just right. You see those cars going around really fast. Like that doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah, I know.
You can be a good driver, but you still have to have a great car.
Yeah. And it's a blast to. I gave a couple of laps last 2 days ago when I was at Piranha. I picked up one of the Brazilian cars.
Mm-hmm.
Just to figure out the track, and it was pretty cool. I feel like I should be here racing.
Hey, we have extra cars for you.
Still need to learn the track.
Yeah,
it'll be worse than show up in Czechoslovakia with no time to practice.
Yeah, I know. But some of the guys there are at beginner level, locals that are racing with us, but then they qualify, so you'll race with guys that are going around.
Just like here. Here the qualifying on the nationals, the qualifying is on Saturday. We keep the cars and you come to race on Sunday.
Okay.
It's pretty well organized.
Yeah.
You do the qualifying on Saturday, just like Formula 1 with queues. So the whole group does first, and then we move 20 people, and then we move 10 people for the final qualifying.
Oh wow!
And this year, the first 3 qualifiers, they go straight to semifinal.
Okay.
So that's why instead of 72, have 75, and they're gonna have like a bump heat.
Okay.
So to see if you can qualify to the semifinal, and then you pass into the final. And the final is a little longer.
Right.
And you do the qualifying on Saturday, and on Saturday night, you get a PDF on your email knowing what time you're racing and what time you're marshalling.
Yeah, that's really organized well.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah. Israel does a good job. Usually they'll have a timetable because when you have 120 racers, like the day can't slow down, so they'll have it on a time schedule. And they'll print it out, same kind of thing, and they'll organize the whole week that way. What time, when the heats are going, and so. And if there's a problem with the track and they lose an hour, like they'll shorten practice the next class to make back up on the timetable. We can't go extra days. People have planes, and you know you can't extend the program.
14 days is already enough, right? 2 weeks racing.
But practicing the race is only like 7 days. It's pretty long. But yeah, the whole arrival time and all the banquet dinner, though, I told you, is the highlight.
The highlight. Everybody's just for the dinner.
4 classes, so you have 4 winners. But yeah, everybody's a winner at the banquet dinner. It's always a highlight. There's always some fun shenanigans and talking and good stuff.
This is the second time that we're talking. Like we met 3 days ago at the Piranha, but I always knew who you are. And growing up in the 90s, racing in the 90s and getting Slotcar bulletins and other magazines, and I know that your name has been always in my mind, and it's pretty fun to meet you finally.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
I spoke with Ian yesterday and say, look, Paul is coming to the podcast, and I might try to convince him to race the nationals with us. And say, oh man, he's the GOAT right away. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started and how was the races? And I know that you accumulate more victories than second places, and it's pretty cool to have you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I've been racing a long time. I actually started a little bit late as far as real racing. Probably most of us have the same story, racing HO cars at your house when I was a young boy. And man, we had a 4-lane track, and I used to scorch all the tracks. We'd change them around, and I'd learn fast. And all my friends, we were just having fun. But man, I could tell I was passing everybody a lot. And I wasn't really working on the cars. We were just putting box stock HO cars, whatever they were, magnet tractions and all that stuff. So anyway, years got gone by, and I always had my HO track. I used to set it up once in a while, like under the Christmas tree as I was getting older, and so. Like in the early 90s, they opened up a track in South San Francisco, Slotcar Junction, which was my original home track. And we had a lot. Sorry. I get emotional about it.
Oh, really?
So, we raced a lot. Anyway, Voltaire and Ramon, they brought me in, and I went to that track. And
how old are you?
I was like 1991, so I don't know how many, so 64, 74, 84.
We're not doing math here. That's fine. That's fine.
So like just under 30 years old. And so I went with my buddy, he goes, you got to see this track. It's just like your little ones. He goes, but it's the bigger ones. And so, I went in there, and I was just like, I walked in here today, eyes wide open, like, wow, this place is amazing. And so I started racing. I immediately bought a car, and I asking questions. They had an MTT, big flat track. I go, what do we do on this track? I wanted to be on that road course right away. And they had like a bank track too. And so anyway, I learned fast, and I could drive the slot car like immediately. I hadn't driven a big scale car on a big track like that ever, but I didn't know how to work on them. But I'm pretty technical, mechanical, so I learned fast. And every week when I started, like something big would happen. The first week I'm racing like NASCAR on a Tuesday night. They have like 4 heats, like 30 guys on a Tuesday night. It was pretty popular back then. And like I'm doing pretty well my first race, and I hit something and the motor just falls out because it was screwed in, no solder. I go, what? They go, Paul, you don't solder in your motor? What's that? so I go buy a soldering iron.
Solder iron.
I learned how to solder. I come back the next week, like I soldered my motor, soldered in, and then I'm going around doing good again. I'm starting to run towards the leaders, and then I hit some more things. The body flies off completely. I go, what? You don't put reinforcement tape on the body? What do you mean? And so I learned fast. And then I started asking questions. What's going on?
What's going on? Can I see your car?
And so like within like the first few weeks of racing, and now I'm starting to win. And some of the guys think I'm cheating. Cheating? I don't even know how to work on them yet.
I didn't even know how to enforce my body.
I see you letting off early in the straight. I'm still going down. Like, you got to drive better. And so I caught on quick. And
so over there, you were around 20-something, right? Almost 30.
Yeah, almost 30.
So between your age years when you're before being a teenager, you didn't do anything slot car related until your 30s?
Nothing. Like there was nowhere to go. I never even seen a track. I had my HOs I'd set up every once in a while, but I think that gift of driving a slot car doesn't go away. That's why I was excited to see Ian racing again, because he took a long time off. And you give a good driver a controller, and pow, you just give him a good car. You're gonna learn the track fast, and off you go. And so that's what I did. And I started racing every week at that track, and I loved it, right? And so now I'm starting to win like all the time on the weekly race. And the owner's very nice. And Voltaire said, hey, you got to move away from the NASCAR's kind of the beginner's class. We have the Thursday.
Probably like a 16Z motor Parma.
Yeah, it was like a ready to run, and you could, and then I figured out you need to grind the tires, so I figured out how to make the cars work, and then I started, track record, and then some of these guys, I don't want to say like retired them from, they stopped coming, So
what were you doing for work back then?
I was working in an automotive field, like a GMC Cadillac dealership.
Oh, okay.
And so
you had some money to
I was a parts guy, yeah, and so. I was able to, it was a hobby, so I was spending a lot of time doing it. I played a lot of golf leading up to that.
Okay.
And then I still play a lot of golf, but I kind of set that down for a while because I really got into the slot cars. And so I started racing with those guys weekly, started winning, and then it kept going up. But the owner, like I said, those guys were really cool, and they were like, Paul, you need to move to Thursday. We run like a GTP car, with the old Parma Intrepid, and these are the more serious guys, and that's when I met like Michael O'Donnell and Terry Linhart, all these guys at NorCal IMCA. They're coming to our track. Oh, really? So what do I need for this? And so by then,
gonna bid those.
by
have some answers to beat.
So then that's when Ian got on that tour too, the NorCal IMCA. We'd go to like 5 different tracks in the Bay Area once a month. We'd rotate around.
So Ian was a teenager.
Yeah, he was very young. Yeah, he was a teenager, and his dad would come, and it was very nice. And so we had a mixed group, older guys, Fred Hood, some of those guys.
Herman, probably.
Huh? Yeah, Herman. That's where I met Herman up in Black Pleasant Hill, and he used to stick way out on the driver's panel like, Herman, move your hand back. I can't even see my car in the straightaway. So he brought it in a little bit over the years, and we've become friends. And so, but early on, like I think my first nationals, Voltaire said, you need to go to the U.S. Nationals. It's coming to Reseda, California, which is down here. I think it was 1993.
Vale.
And so, so I go, what's this? So, okay, they race in these classes. So I'm like, there's 2 tracks. And so, okay, well, I have Euros. By then we were racing Eurosports. And so, okay, I have a Eurosport.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, even back then. So I had like one car.
Yeah.
So like one motor.
Hoping that a pin doesn't get inside of the motor. So
yeah. And back then they were running thicker bodies and the cars were heavier. Like the gear ratio wasn't so crazy. So you could blast those through longer. And so anyway, went down there and I learned something big every year at the Nationals. And that year was don't run just one class because if you have a problem, you're out and you're like, man, I came all this way. So I was leading my little semi or consi race, and like my car went up the bank and broke the guide off, and I was like, "What is this?" So anyway, I didn't even make the final, and so I learned you better run more than one class. And so I came back the next year, and I won my first national with a car. Ron Hirschman helped me. Had started to sponsor me through Parma at that time, and so we started racing for him, and he built like a 132nd Eurosport. Hey, try this car, and it was anyway. It was like they call it the limo. It was like longer than it was supposed to be. They didn't have rules for the wheelbase at the time, and so we're testing like this car's great. So anyway, I won that class and TQ'd, and I had like a bunch of podiums that second year, and so that's when those U.S. Nationals started to kick in, and so. By 1997, I went to my first ISRA race, and because Ron goes, we gotta go race with those guys. This is where it's at. So I think I won like 5 out of the 5 classes I raced at the Nationals that year in '97, like swept. And then I was in like NorCal, like on one of my home tracks, and so then we went that same year. We went to my first ISRA race, and so. I won the production race, but got disqualified, and it was not a team race at that time. It was like a long story, but I won it. We had changed the motor, and you're supposed to, there's a procedure, you're supposed to announce it. Anyway, we did, and so I went from first to last. So then the next class, I think that time used to be Formula One. We didn't have a car. Ron Hirschman bought one of the Czech guys, my friends now, bought their like third car. And so they were beating me the whole race, and me and the local James Cleve were on the same lap. And just met all those guys, and we were really duking out for third. And like late 6th, 7th segment, both the Czech guys had some big problem, like body ripping off or tires were gone. And so me and James suddenly we're fighting for the win. And so I squeezed it off at the end, and so I won one of the classes there right first time out. And so that was good. And then
where was it, the race?
That was in England, Southampton.
Yeah.
And Southampton was like where the Titanic sailed out of, and they had a big arcade. So after racing, we're in there with all the guys. It was a big event. And I go, this is the real deal. Like that's the race every year. I told everybody in the U.S., you need to go to this kind of a race.
Okay.
And so that's when it really started for me. And at that time, I was still working. We were starting to have kids. Like it was tough to go every year. So if you look at like my record, I didn't go every year in the beginning. I have to skip them here and there.
Wow, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially in the 90s to travel to Europe.
Yeah, it was a lot, and so a big commitment and stuff like that. And so lucky I have a very supportive wife. She supports my hobbies, whatever I'm doing, and so she encourages it and likes it, and so that's very helpful. And so, but yeah, so we had a great race. That 1997 race was amazing, and that's when I met Nuviello, Salvatore, and some of the Italian guys, and I was leading the big Eurosport. So I won the production where I disqualified. I won the F1 barely, and then 32 year I didn't do too well, but 24 year I was leading like most of it. And so back then, if you on the floor, there's no track calls, like the marshals can't fix it. So like I hit somebody, they came out and knocked me on the floor. My braids are jacked up, the tires are fuzzy. Like I had some problems late in that main, and Salvatore, he won. I think I took second. So so I hung in there, but that was a real good year for me, just coming right out of the gate.
They're still using on their packaging Road Champions.
Yes.
I think it's from there.
Yes.
From 2001.
For sure.
Was that 2000 something? 2002, right?
Yeah, no, that first race was in 1997. That was the one in England. So, and then I went more, and Ernie Mazzetti had his in Canada. That's when I think Ian and we all went to that one. It was a great hotel race there. And, wow, so many fun.
Ernie comes here every year. We have a race for his brand.
Awesome.
MR Slotcar, yeah.
Ah, that's great. Yeah,
Ernie's a friend. He was here in October, right?
Yeah, Ernie's always been a good friend. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and like I've won 4 ISRA World Championships only. Only. Right. So over all those years, but I looking back, I was talking with John Waller. He's from Canada, and I said, you know what? Ernie Mazzetti was at every time. He was either like the race host or the director. Like I need to get him back at the next one because every time I won something, he was there, and he hasn't come that much anymore.
So we need to sponsor.
I need to talk to him.
His competition, yeah.
So, but all those years, I raced the U.S. Nationals most every year because it was easier to travel. Closer a lot of times, and so I've been.
So the race that we're having at Piranha Raceway is the Nationals for the year. There's no.
Yeah, that's it. The U.S. Nationals.
And
scale.
Who decides where the next one is going to be?
So they propose if you want the race, you can propose. You have to show like pictures of the track and your accommodations, where the hotels are. You present it to all the racers that are here this week. Like sometimes we like a little booklet, and then. This year, there's two choices, I think.
Which ones?
I think it's Roger in Chicago, He wants it again. He's had it over the years a few times. And then I think it's Walker and his father. They have him in North Carolina. A track there.
Roger has a big store, like 5 or 6 tracks.
Yeah, it's big. I've been there.
I've been there too. Yeah. The other one's big, but this one is bigger.
Yeah.
Have you been to both?
I've been. Yeah. Over the years, we've gone to his raceway a lot because he hosted the Worlds a couple times, I think. And,
I'm trying to bring him here and say, I'm not going in front of cameras. I say, change your mind. Yeah, don't go in front of cameras. Come on.
Yeah, come on. So, but the U.S. Nationals has been where I racked up a whole bunch of wins. Sometimes I'm embarrassed, like 52. And so 52, I can barely say that, because when you're racing a lot of classes, sometimes you can win more than one, like, at an event, right? And so, anyway, over the years, I might win one here, 2 there, wins. 5 one time here. And so over those years, 52 U.S. national
I'm glad
wins,
that you're still counting.
And so after a while, Ron Hirschman, he's a good historian and friend, and there's records on the internet kind and stuff. And so at one point I moved like 3 years ago to Arizona. And so all these plaques and trophies that have been in the garage and boxes, what are you going to do, right? So finally I put them all in one room. I took a picture, and then I had to get rid of them.
Good wife.
I had to get rid of them, though.
Okay.
I put them all and took a picture. That's my trophy case, the picture. Because the physical, I can't keep this no more.
Yeah.
So I kept some of the special ones for sure, and we moved. But I started counting all the USRA ones, and that's when I finally started to put a number on it. So now I started writing on the plaque. Like if you hand me a first place plaque last year, I put 52 on there. So okay,
are we looking for the 53 this weekend?
Yeah, I think last night we raced, and I came in third, only 5 laps down. And so
who won?
So John Waller. John Waller, his first USRA scale win ever, and so he was solid, and so he was very excited.
Which class were you guys racing?
We raced 132nd Eurosport, so small Eurosports, and so he was strong all day. I know he's a good racer, but it was kind of shocking. Like all day, I was like, man, I can barely pull away from him. And so at one point, that was one of the coolest races last night. There's eight racers. We counted 5 people had the lead at some point. Like I led through the halfway mark, and I had to change tires because they wear out. And so then I lost the lead, and then Justin had the lead. Gugu had like a 10-lap penalty. He came all the way back and had the lead. And then he had a problem at the end, and John Waller was just steady the whole time, and he had the lead a little bit, and he had it at the end where it mattered. And Jonathan had the lead for a while. That was really cool to have like 5 different leaders. Usually, you take off and 1 or 2 guys, and we're gone, but last night was really close. But the
track helps too. I think that design is awesome.
Yeah, it's that tracks, and they designed those ISRA tracks lately because there's been complaining over the years. You go to we went to Finland, and they said we're going to put a tough track in. So you guys coming from out of town, that was their theory, and it was tough. That was probably
the thing. They have time to practice before.
Yeah, the locals do.
It's not supposed to, right?
Well, over the years they used to say no, but now it's opened up. They'll have monthly races on it and stuff like that. So the Europeans I'm not going to travel all the way there to practice on that track, which would be nice, but it's too much. So, but anyway, since that one, people kind of complain like that track was. I actually liked it. I did well there, but they said let's tone it down a little bit. So if you look at the track we're on this week, that was ISRA track. Even like on the black lane, I call that lane like yellow, and on the red lane, it's like green. All the turns are not too tight. So you can flow that track right away. You can come from out of town. You can learn that if you're good. You can learn that track. Yeah, you can learn that track pretty quick, and that helps, even though it's big and tricky. But
I'm not a big fan of the banana straights.
Yeah, I don't know how that started.
Even here at Piranha, the big straight. Why don't make it straight? Why does it need to be kind of sideways?
Yeah, and just wears the tires more. And it doesn't really do anything. Yeah, I don't know why the banana became popular like that. Yeah. And over the years, it used to be MTT everything was a short, just a straight. And now they've got bananas.
I see the point when you have like another straight with kind of a banana, but you can punch it. Yeah. It kind of gives a flow and gives you a challenge when you're braking. Yeah. But the whole straight's like a... what the hell?
Oh, that's the front straight you're talking about with the driver's panel? Yeah. So the theory on the driver's panel was people can't say they can't see.
Herman.
So Herman leaning over.
Herman probably.
And me and Vladimir working.
And everybody's getting fat too. So
so the guys on the ends can't see the car coming off the top turn.
Right,
so they make that
but it's still
increase the view. But I don't think you need that really. You can make the driver's panel
a little longer,
6 inches wider, then everybody's standing back But a lot of guys like to lean. Like I'm a leaner. If I'm not leaning my leg on the track, I feel uncomfortable. And so just been like that always. And so people say, Paul, step back. And I say, no, you step forward. Right? The line is here. Like you can only go this far.
We have here one of those mats, like for you to rest.
Yeah.
And there's lines on the mat, so every race we kind of push it a little bit back, and I keep my eye on it so people don't step out of the mat.
So
it's just like a line.
Yeah, it's like a line, but you can't lean on that line. And so you can't. So that'd be tougher for me. One time we had it. Well, there was a track like that where, anyway, same type of thing. You couldn't get up to the track, so I went to Home Depot or somewhere. I bought this stool that I set in front of me, and I lean on it. Because I need to feel comfortable.
Need to have something to
I can still drive fine without it, but not when it's really like intense. I just need to take that factor away, like I'm leaning on the track.
The cool thing about you is that I can still see the boy that was racing HO right now, excited about it, looking forward to go to the track and get your results, right?
Yeah, this year's been cool because I brought my son. So
yeah, and he's doing well, right?
He's doing well. He can drive, and teaching him how to work on those cars, and he's pretty mechanical, but it takes years to really find exactly what.
What does he do for a living?
So he's doing insurance and real estate and like investment strategy.
Putting money up.
Yeah,
okay.
So
money maker.
He went to he got a business degree and all that, so he's doing well. But he can work online, so. He comes here. He's working on his laptop, and then we're working on cars.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Introduced me. Oh, this is my son. What the hell? How old are you? He looks 40. He's I'm 25. No, you're not 25. How old are you?
Yeah. He's mature for his age, and he likes it. So it brings a whole nother level. It's harder to prepare two cars, and they're never equal. Do I take the good one? Do I give him the good one?
Take the good one. The boy's 25.
Yeah,
they still have years to do.
We've been sharing them. Or I'll let him For today, we have 3 F1 cars. We only need 2. I said, okay, you drive all 3, you pick one. I'll take whatever's left. So, and then other times I'll take the good one too. So we kind of share them, but it's been fun. So, but it's really fun to get him into it and try to teach him all the little things. It takes years to figure out how to make those cars so perfect. But some of the stuff's easy. Okay, here, cut these tires to a certain size. He can do that, and then
plus the money.
Yeah.
Plus the money, because they keep changing, right? It's not something that you're going to race the same car for 10 years.
Yeah, they change rules on the fly sometimes, and I need this chassis now all of a sudden, or I needed this and another motor. Like, oh my goodness, and so it's always a challenge, right? And so,
are you racing the brushless class too?
Yeah, so open, Eurosport is open class, and so you can run brushless. And I'm a big brushless advocate. And in the beginning, there's a lot of naysayers. This can't work, and this and that, blah blah. And so I was on board. No, this is going to be amazing because RC racing, there's no brushed class anymore. That's like a dinosaur, really, and they wear out. And so over the years at ISRA, I've had some problems with my brushes a lot, and so leading races and then brushes wearing down, and so unbelievable.
Plus the lifespan of a brushed motor is just one race, and that's it.
One race only, and not even the whole event, just one race.
I remember in the 90s that you were racing Group 20 in wing cars, and people were changing the motors for every heat.
Yes, and so you're right. And so we used to run Eurosport with the old school, when Ian was a teenager and we were racing. Those I could run the whole event, the semifinal and the final, with one motor, and because the gearing wasn't so bad. 636 we're running was a popular gear ratio of 6-1, and the car would last. And they're a little heavier and slower, so you weren't pushing so hard. So then the 80 pitch 7 pinion came out. Now we're revving up more, and then now we're down to the 5-72. We run 540. It's 8-1.
You're racing a triangle as a pin.
Yeah, and the motors are revved up so high, the car handles it, it's much faster. So you have to go with it, right? But if you run 24-minute race, motor, it's not going to make the next segment, which would be 32-minute semifinal. So you have to change it. Last night, I ran a brushed car, and I was the top brushed winner. I came in third, and everybody else in the main had I think there's 2 or 3 of us.
And everybody's using the NSR motor, right?
Yeah, mostly all NSR, and I have those. And Frank had it in his car, but we learned that that technology is good, but there's one thing they do right now is when those Eurosport cars with brushless, when they come out, when they're in the slot, they have plenty of brakes. When you let off down the straight, feels fine. But when they come out, it's like a flywheel, and there's no more physical brakes. So they hit the wall. It feels like you're a rider when you crash. Whoa. Every time, pretty much. You can't crash gently.
Didn't know that.
It's amazing. You hear it like you're in the pits working on your cars, and people are practicing. You hear kaboom, like another brushless crash, because it happens so often. So
my father would be happy as a raceway owner.
Yeah. So
in the 90s, my father used to have a track, and he was sitting down and hearing people practice, and just bang. He look at me and say, "Ka-ching."
Yeah. Exactly. They come up, I need some parts. For sure. So those brushless cars are going to be great, and it's early on right now. So it's already proven they can win and go faster than what we have, but it's also proven they crash way harder and more often, and more track calls.
Let's start to pad those tracks.
Yeah. And so
bring some pillows.
The idea is to find a way, and whether it's a capacitor has to be voted in, something to put on that on the ECOM to have it break when there's no power to the car, and that will cure that issue to some extent. And then there'll be no looking back anymore. So that's why yesterday I built 2 cars, and one traditional motor, one NSR. I said, Frank, you try these, which one you like? And they were pretty close in speed, but with the brushless, you have to be careful, because if you crash, you're going to hurt it. It crashes too. The other car, you can crash gently a lot. Like sometimes you come around, turn, it just flops over. But the brushless, they don't do that. Just kapow every time.
Boom.
Yeah. And
didn't know that. It's very interesting. Yeah,
it's really interesting. And so Frank said, well, I'll run the brushless. I'll go safe. It's faster. So, okay. So I go, you know what? I'll run that brush car. And if everybody crashes and bends their stuff, I'll be the last one out there. So I thought it's going to be tough to do that. But I was leading at the halfway point, because those guys are being safe. And I could push, because I wasn't worried about popping out a little bit. And even though I probably only crashed a few times. But in the end, they are quicker, and so it was a big ask to try to beat those cars.
It's a big change since Atlantic City, because in Atlantic City they were just trying the motors. Now everybody's racing.
Yeah, and so we were in Atlantic City. I'm like telling Piero and Andrea, hey, I need one of these. They're like, no, they're prototypes, man. After race, we can talk. I go, I respect.
It was hard to get.
I respect that. Yeah,
we're the distributors in America for NSR, and it's very hard to get. I ordered like 30, and he sent me a dozen or something.
Yeah, they have.
And I gave priority to Richard, because he wants to sell over there at Raceway. So
yeah, that's nice.
I think we sold 1 retail. The other we just sent it.
Yeah, and so the high demand, and then it's new, right? And so it's hard to do, and they're making them. A lot of those parts putting together by hand and all that, like Piero's really doing a lot of that.
It's a little complicated for me to understand, because it's not our universe that I'm part of. And when Andrea put out, and NSR is a 1/32 scale brand, mostly, right? And when he put out, we need to explain to the 1/32 racers, look, this is not a technology for you guys. This is for the international race. Yes. And then when discovered about the price, people went insane online. What? No, those motors you can buy at $10 in China. Yeah. And in my head, look, Andrea, I need to do some explanation, because I didn't know that it was handmade, proper for a slot car, with a shaft in the correct place, and the casement and the bracket and blah blah. And he didn't explain. Yeah. So in my head, if it was just called to his Chinese manufacturer, say, look, can you put my name on the motor?
Yeah,
that was my whole idea, but it's not.
It's not.
It's a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, it's amazing what they did. And so at the time, now people are trying to copy that and make it come from China for some cheap price. I get it. Eventually, it probably will. But if you want one of those now, it's still much cheaper than a traditional strap motor. It's like $500 for a really good Eurosport motor, whereas his is only like €300 plus the board. So it's very competitive, and it lasts.
And the $500,
it lasts the whole event. So I was like, Andrea, I need these. And so eventually,
how much man hours you put it to remake the
you got to rebuild those things, and you got to, if you find a good one, you got to put it away and save it, because the brushes only last so long. You can't practice. But the NSR, you can practice. You can race. Fantastic. So I'm all in on the brushless. I like it, but it still needs some more development. And so. But yeah, those Piero they found a way to put a 5-tooth pinion on a brushless. So you couldn't buy any $20 drone motor that's going to spin at an 8-to-1 ratio and pull those slot cars around. There's nothing. So they found a way to double the KV by having less magnets, and they're made like a hybrid. So we kind of copied it for some practice cars. I bought like 2 different motors, and I found some brands, and I copied what they did a little bit, and it's close. Doesn't have the same power curve, but close. And so that's, for right now, that's, if you want to just go fast right away with one of those, that's the way to go. But I think eventually a lot of people are working on it all over the world.
Are they similar to each other, the NSR motors? Like they're basically the same, right? You don't have to pick a good one.
They're real similar, because I think there's almost no moving parts. It's just the bells running around the stator, and so like it's amazing that they can be much more consistent. And so some people said the second batch was a little different, but I don't know. In my experience, they're all really close. And so that's, in the future, like, we do this at Israel. They do the handout production race. X12 motor, those motors are like, whatever, $200, and so you share the cost, and you put it in. And the last one race, you got to rebuild it. They're not as reliable. People are complaining, my handout motor's slow, or look at it.
You're not going to buy 2, you're going to buy 10, because probably going to have one that is better than other ones. A lot of money there.
So, but at the handout race, you just get one, and you can buy one more, I think. But but that class, it's usually pretty good and pretty close. But there's always somebody complaining about the speed of mine.
Are those the Pro Slot ones with the seal on it?
They no, they'll run an X12. Okay. So and then each year the host can pick who's going to produce this motor and which components they want to use. And they try to build 100 of those motors and have them all be close. It's asking a lot of work. So, but and there's money to be made during that process. I get it, but I proposed, let's hand out. I found like the $20 drone motor that you can go as fast as a 12. You can't go like a Eurosport for the cheap one, like I was saying, but you can easily keep up to an X12 with this drone motors after you switch the shaft and put a different gear ratio, and they'll keep up. So we've started a class in Arizona, and we call it ISRA Production Brushless. Okay. I want to show everybody, look, you can run that same speed with the same car and the motor, and they're way more consistent, and they don't burn up. They're reliable. And that's the problem at the big race. Like Frankie was leading one of the production from Czech Republic. He was leading the team race, completely flying, and all of a sudden his motor smoke's coming out. And like that, those brushless motors, that doesn't happen almost never. Like they're much more consistent.
That's one thing that's kind of cool, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not cool when your son is winning the race, but if for someone's a second, you're telling me this story in a different way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The reliability of the 1/32 scale cars, that's a problem actually, because if you do an enduro, nothing happens.
Yeah.
You don't have tire consumption. The motors will last forever. Yeah, nothing happens.
Yeah, I can see that those cars are a little lower powered, and so those motors are not under as much stress, and so they'll last longer.
And crashes doesn't really break your car.
Speeds are down, and
cut an axle.
I've been kind of watching you guys over here. I'm thinking I might have to come around once in a while.
In August. let's cancel Sturgis and come here.
I know. I'm supposed to go I'm going to Sturgis, and so it conflicts with the dates this year.
I know.
I probably
figure out. I can give some phone calls.
Yeah, and you never know if
it doesn't.
If it doesn't work this year, I will come for next year. If it's the same month, that month's normally open.
It's always going to be on the first weekend of August. We used to do on the second one, but that's the same week of Car Week in Carmel.
Oh yeah.
And we have a lot of guests coming to see the race, so I changed for the first week. Okay. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, that's that week's open, and the Sturgis for me. I'm excited. We already booked plane tickets, so I can't really cancel, but that's a one and done. Like we won't do it again. So next year I'll be open. So
very nice.
So maybe 1 year I can come.
Thank you very much. And just for the camera and for the record, it's 6:30 a.m. You make me come 6:30 a.m. because you need to practice, right?
I know. I have to fight traffic now and go back and work on Slotcars.
Okay, I'll give you that. But thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you. And I think I wish I can see you more here. And I think if I can change you a little bit to race with the 1/32 scale, it's going to be cool because...
Yeah. I think I would love to come down and
give you the challenge. Give you the challenge.
Tell Ian I'm coming for him.
Paul, thank you very much.
All right, Marco, thank you.